Picture this. You're standing in the bustling marketplace of ancient Rome. The year is 161 AD, and the most powerful man in the world just lost everything. His name, Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome. But here's the twist. Instead of panicking, he pulls out a small journal and writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What if I told you that this ancient philosophy holds the secret to modern financial freedom? Today, we're diving deep into the 10 financial principles that made Stoics the wealthiest and most resilient people of their time. And trust me, these aren't your typical money tips. Principle 1. Control the controllable. Imagine you're a trader in ancient Athens. Your ship full of precious goods just sank in a storm. Most merchants would cry, blame the gods, maybe throw themselves into the sea. But a Stoic merchant? He'd calmly calculate his losses and think, "I can't control the weather, but I can control my next move." This is the dichotomy of control, the foundation of all Stoic financial wisdom. You can't control market crashes, inflation, or your boss's mood, but you can control your spending, your savings rate, and your investment decisions. Modern neuroscience proves the Stoics were right. When you focus on what you can't control, your brain releases cortisol, stress hormone, decision-making killer. But when you focus on your sphere of influence, your prefrontal cortex activates. Hello, rational thinking. Principle 2. Wealth is not what you have. Seneca, the richest man in Rome, once said something that would make modern billionaires uncomfortable. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Here's where it gets science fiction level interesting. Stoics understood something we're just rediscovering through behavioral economics. Wealth isn't about the number in your bank account. It's about the gap between what you have and what you want. Think of it as the wealth equation. Wealth equals resources divided by desires. You can get richer two ways: increase your resources or decrease your desires. Most people only focus on the first. Stoics mastered the second. A modern study of lottery winners proves this. Within 5 years, most are back to their original happiness levels. Why? Because their desires expanded faster than their bank accounts. Principle 3. Negative visualization. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius would imagine losing everything. His empire, his family, his health. Sounds depressing? Actually, it's financial genius. This practice, called negative visualization, is like a financial vaccine. You inject small doses of imagined loss to build immunity against real loss. Here's the neuroscience magic. When you mentally rehearse adversity, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, becomes less reactive to actual problems. Meanwhile, your anterior cingulate cortex, responsible for problem solving, gets stronger. Modern hedge fund managers use this exact technique. They call it stress testing. Before making any major investment, they imagine everything that could go wrong. Market crash? Check. Company scandal? Check. Alien invasion? Well, maybe not that last one. But here's the beautiful paradox. The more you imagine losing your money, the less attached you become to it. And the less attached you are, the better your financial decisions become. Principle 4. The reserve fund mindset. Picture a Roman general preparing for battle. He never commits all his troops to the front line. Why? Because reserves win wars. Stoics applied this military wisdom to money. Cato the Younger, known for his legendary self-discipline, always kept substantial reserves, not just for emergencies, but for opportunities. Here's where modern psychology gets fascinating. Having reserves doesn't just protect you financially, it literally changes your brain chemistry. Studies show that people with emergency funds have lower cortisol levels, better sleep, and make more rational decisions. But the Stoic reserve fund was different from modern emergency funds. It wasn't just about survival. It was about freedom. The freedom to say no to bad deals, toxic jobs, or compromising situations. Think of it as financial courage in a bank account. Principle 5. Voluntary discomfort. Once a month, Seneca would dress like a beggar and eat nothing but bread and water. His servants thought he'd lost his mind, but Seneca was conducting a financial experiment. He was training his brain to realize that poverty wasn't as scary as it seemed. This practice, voluntary discomfort, builds what psychologists now call resilience reserves. Here's the neuroscience breakthrough. When you voluntarily experience discomfort, your brain creates new neural pathways. Pathways that say, hey, we survived that. We can survive anything. Modern billionaires unconsciously use this principle. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray t-shirt every day. They're not being cheap. They're maintaining their poverty immunity. Try this. Once a week, live like you've lost half your income. Walk instead of driving. Cook instead of ordering. Sleep on the floor instead of your bed. Watch how quickly your financial fears dissolve. Principle 6. Time is the ultimate currency. Time is the most valuable thing we can spend, said Theophrastus, and the Stoics took this literally. While others chased gold, Stoics chased time optimization. They understood something revolutionary. Every minute spent earning money you don't need is a minute stolen from life you can't replace. Here's where quantum physics meets ancient wisdom. Einstein proved that time is relative, but Stoics discovered something even more profound. The value of time changes based on how you use it. An hour spent in meaningful work creates compound returns. An hour spent in mindless consumption creates compound debt. Not financial debt, life debt. Marcus Aurelius calculated everything in time cost. Is this decision worth the years it will cost me? Modern researchers call this temporal accounting. Studies show people who think in time rather than money make better long-term decisions. Principle 7. The virtue investment strategy. Here's something that would blow the minds of modern financial advisors. Stoics believed the best investment wasn't stocks, bonds, or real estate. It was virtue. Sounds fluffy. Let's get scientific. Virtue to Stoics meant wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline. These aren't just nice character traits, they're economic superpowers. Wisdom helps you spot opportunities others miss. Justice builds the trust necessary for profitable relationships. Courage lets you take calculated risks. Self-discipline prevents you from destroying what you've built. Modern data backs this up. Companies with ethical leadership outperform the market by an average of 2.3% annually. Individuals with high emotional intelligence earn $1,300 more per year for every point of EQ. The Stoics were running a long-term arbitrage strategy. While everyone else competed for finite resources, they invested in infinite ones. Character compounds without limits. Principle 8. Anti-fragile wealth building. Nassim Taleb thinks he invented the concept of anti-fragility, things that get stronger from stress. But Stoics were building anti-fragile wealth systems 2,000 years ago. Consider Epictetus. Born a slave, became one of history's greatest philosophers. Every setback made him stronger, wiser, more valuable. His wealth wasn't diminished by external shocks. It was created by them. Here's the mathematical beauty. Fragile systems followed linear thinking. One problem equals one loss. But anti-fragile systems follow exponential thinking. One problem equals multiple solutions, each creating new value. Modern tech companies use this principle unconsciously. When Facebook faced privacy scandals, they didn't just fix the problem, they built entirely new privacy-focused revenue streams. Netflix turned the threat of cord cutting into the opportunity of original content. Stoics systematically sought out controlled stress, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because stress is the raw material of strength. Principle 9, the gratitude multiplier effect. Every evening, Marcus Aurelius would write down 3 things he was grateful for. Modern neuroscience reveals this wasn't just feel-good philosophy, it was financial engineering. Gratitude literally rewires your brain's reward system. When you appreciate what you have, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals don't just make you happy, they make you smarter. Studies at UC Berkeley show grateful people make better financial decisions. They're less impulsive, more patient, and better at delayed gratification. In other words, gratitude is like a performance-enhancing drug for your financial cortex. But here's the Stoic twist. They didn't just practice gratitude for good things. They found ways to be grateful for challenges, setbacks, even failures. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, Seneca noted. Modern positive psychology calls this benefit finding, the ability to extract value from any experience. Principle 10, legacy over luxury. Marcus Aurelius could have built the most magnificent palace in history. Instead, he wrote a journal that's still changing lives 2,000 years later. That's the power of legacy thinking. Stoics understood something profound about wealth and time. Luxury is temporary. Legacy is eternal. Every financial decision was evaluated through this lens. Will this matter in 10 years, in 100 years, in 1,000 years? Modern billionaires are rediscovering this principle. Bill Gates shifted from building Microsoft to eradicating diseases. Warren Buffett pledged 99% of his wealth to charity. They realized that after a certain point, accumulating more wealth becomes meaningless. But building systems that create value long after you're gone? That's immortality. The beautiful paradox is this. When you stop trying to get rich and start trying to create value, you often end up both wealthy and fulfilled. So there you have it. 10 financial principles from the ancient world that are more relevant today than ever. In a world of cryptocurrency chaos, market volatility, and economic uncertainty, the Stoics offer something revolutionary. Not just a way to make money, but a way to build unshakable financial peace. Remember, true wealth isn't about the zeros in your bank account. It's about having enough resources to live according to your values, enough reserves to weather any storm, and enough wisdom to know the difference. The ancient Stoics faced plagues, wars, and the collapse of empires, but their financial principles survived because they were built on something deeper than market trends or economic cycles. They were built on human nature itself. Start with one principle, master it, then move to the next. In a year, you won't just be richer, you'll be financially anti-fragile. And that, as Marcus Aurelius would say, is a treasure that no emperor, no market crash, and no external force can ever take away from you.